is real TV.
I just wanna get to you. I'll go through the snow and the ice for a kiss. I just wanna get to you for Christmas.
It took me until that last line that my brain was like, oh yeah, that's a RuPaul lyric, isn't it? From his Christmas.
What did you think album. I was just gonna sing to you?
Good evening, morning, afternoon.
Hey sis, it's Christmas!
It's Christmas. I'm gonna cross you off my wish list.
My wish list! Got Santa Claus and the missus. We're gonna have the best Christmas that ever existed. Eggnog, floor. Gonna shut the door. The lyrics to the Christmas RuPaul songs are just...
Hey Sis, It's Christmas is actually quite a bop, but the rest of it is trash.
It is. What, the rest of the Christmas album?
Trash.
Don't agree. Have you not heard Christmas Cookies? Have you not heard Christmas Party? Have you not heard Merry Christmas Mary?
I mean, yeah, I've heard them all, because the entire RuPaul's Drag Race Holiday Spectacular was an advert for his album.
And a successful advert at that. I've been streaming those albums non-stop.
A successful advert does not a good TV show make.
Disagree. Look at us. We're here about to talk about the RuPaul Holi-slay Spectacular.
But is that not because it's the only Christmas reality TV special that we've both seen before?
Excuse me. Did you not see The Only Way is Essexmas?
Oh, The Only Way is Essexmas would have been a fine choice, but I didn't want to go back in time. I wanted to keep it current, real, and available on Netflix.
What are we talking about, you may ask? Well, it's the RuPaul Holi-slay Spectacular.
That's what it's called, the RuPaul's Drag Race Holi-slay Spectacular.
I believe so.
It's a mouthful.
Spectacular.
I don't think it is spectacular.
What?
It almost didn't push itself far enough, but didn't... For me, I wanted either a serious competition, festive episode, or I wanted all guns blazing... Ryan Murphy is shook at how ridiculously queer this episode is. But it was just kind of... I watched it, and the credits... And bear in mind, I've seen it before. I watched it, the credits rolled, and I just went, I actually can't remember anything that happened in the last 45 minutes.
Well, I disagree, so I think...
Well, that's because you played the elf.
I'll be back! A caftan, it is not...
Ross Matthews as an elf, I think, was kind of cute, kind of funny.
I'd be Ross Matthews in the Snatch game.
Well, you'd win. We all know who I'd be. We don't all know, but you know who I'd be.
This is a real test of my... Oh, Nigella Lawson.
Nigella Lawson. Just stick it in a microwave, you know? But I've been obsessed with Nigella way prior to this recent BBC series. Not that people haven't been obsessed with Nigella for years, but there's been a resurgence.
Did you say, was that another Freudian slip? My Nigella, you called her?
I have nothing to say to that. I had no idea. Oh, I mean, it's true, but I really think that everyone hopped on the Nigella train recently. People are really riding Nigella's dick right now, and I just want to say, hey, where were you in 2019? Where were you in 2018?
Do you have a copy of Nigella Express?
I think somewhere, yeah.
Wow.
Enough of the queen of camp cookery, and back to this camp mockery.
So, I thought this was a fantastic Christmas special, and I disagree with you that it was too much of a middleman. I kind of loved that it was a middleman in the sense that it was a total cute kind of get together, a celebration, almost like a bygones be bygones. I liked the fact that it wasn't a real competition. I loved the twist in the fact that it wasn't a real competition. And I also think the inner kind of geek in me hates in shows when there's like a winner of a special, of a Christmas special, so like the Strictly Christmas special, when there's a winner, that really fucks with my head, because I'm like, okay, so last week someone lifted the Glitterball trophy who has been dancing for 3 months and fought their way to the final, and they won the trophy, and now just because it's Christmas Day there's another winner in just one episode. So I'm not a big fan of a Christmas special where someone is crowned or someone becomes champion. And I think this was a great way to see some great looks and a bit of a competition, but also a really fun twist on not fucking with the thought of there being an America's Next Christmas Queen.
However, with that being said, there were some clear winners.
Definitely. Well, this brings us to the question of who. Who are we talking about, and how did they get on? The big questions.
How did they get onto the Christmas special?
No, how did they get on in the Christmas special?
Oh, like, how did they do? I thought you meant, like, how did they get on the show? And I was like, well, bitch, they were on it before. Have you not seen? Can you imagine if they just brought in someone new?
That would have been...
And they were just
wild.
like...
That would have been the real gift.
Bringing on Dame Edna, like, come on, love.
Would have been Christmassy, though.
Would have been Christmassy.
A bit of a veteran. Whom were the queens? There's one who everyone forgets, and I will fucking slit you if you forget them.
What, Jasmine Masters?
No, everyone remembers Jasmine Masters because of her TikTok.
Okay. The Queens of the Holiday Special, if you've not seen it, we have Dolly Parton's surrogate sister, Trixie Martell.
Martell?
Tracy Martell?
Who's that?
Tracy Martell?
Who is that? I need more. I don't need the name again.
Trixie Mattel. Trixie Mattel.
Tracy Martell. Tracy Martell. Who is that?
Tracy Martell is... So you know how Charlie XCX fans called Charlie XCX Charlie Xbox? Because it's like, who's fucking Charlie Xbox? Ha ha ha. So with Trixie Mattel fans call her Tracy Martell.
Never knew that.
Okay, so with Trixie Mattel, obviously, she's just come off All Stars 3 at this point. She's won, controversial. So who do they bring on as well? Obviously, Shangela, which you would hope for drama, but it's Christmas special, so there is none. Then we have Eureka, You Found Her. Girl, how couldn't we? I just stole that from Cameron Michaels. Who else was there? Jasmine Masters, Mayhem Miller, Sonique, Kim Chi. Am I forgetting the person, but you said I was going to forget?
No, you're not. You're forgetting Latrice motherfucking Royale!
Yeah, Latrice was on it too, wasn't she? Yeah.
The one I thought you were going to forget, who everyone forgets, and actually I used to underrate, I think, and I think a lot of people do, but I have since fallen in love with her. I think she's hysterically funny. Mayhem Miller. The queen of the party.
The queen of... I love queens that brand themselves in such a way that is vague yet precise. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
So it's like, I'm a queen of a party, and it's like, I don't know you enough to question it, but I also think that it's strange that you believe you are the queen of a party in your own mind.
Mayhem Miller is definitely not the first person to brand themselves the queen of the party, but she's definitely been the most successful person to brand themselves queen of the party.
Who else branded themselves as queen of a party?
Everyone walking into a party.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And also, I love her song that she did on All Stars 5. Here's a controversial thing, Aidan.
You liked it, didn't you?
I not only liked it, I thought she should have been in the top 2 of the challenge.
Freddie.
I thought she was brilliant. Can you do that with your eyes?
No, but it just got a bit tired, didn't it? Like, it started off well, but it went...
I disagree strongly. I thought it was so hilarious and so weird that it compelled me. I loved it.
Do you want to know something? I don't know how much you know about this holiday spectacular, but I want to shed some...
More than you. I know that it's called the Holi-slay spectacular.
I'm not calling it that. I remember there was some particular drama around the filming of the holiday spectacular. We can delve into it a little bit if you like. But one thing I believe was that the queens were told... I think they were told it was a competition, and then got there and found out it wasn't. Or they were told it wasn't, then were told it was when they arrived there, and then obviously it turned out not to be. I can't quite remember which way it went. There were some weird production things, like with them being given the RuPaul's songs, and like not having long to learn them. Stuff like that. I don't know if you noticed, but Jasmine Masters has no confessionals.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Because I think she didn't show up to that day of filming, because she was like done with the production.
She was Jasmine Masters and she had nothing to say.
She was not here to say. She was here to get that paycheck and run, and I support her.
Oh, you missed it! Or maybe it wasn't that funny.
What?
My name is Jasmine Masters and I have nothing to say.
Yeah, no, I got it. I was leading on from that.
Sorry, Aidan.
You know, part of Comedy Freddie is also listening. Don't know if you've heard, because...
I haven't heard because I wasn't listening.
Exactly. But yeah, there was something about that, and then there are things about the production of this episode that I find weird, like uncomfortable. One of them is that Kimchi doesn't look at the camera in her confessionals. She sort of looks to the side as if she's just sort of like tired and like being given a script almost, which I imagine maybe they were.
She looks too warm as well. I want to tell her to take some of her tinsel off.
We've seen these people before, so, you know, they know how to do a confessional, but it's awkward. And most of the confessionals are fake because they're, like, being told it's a competition, but obviously it's not a competition by the time they record the confessionals. And you can tell that in the way they say things. However, there is one golden moment from the confessionals. In the whole episode, just one.
Which moment?
It's when Trixie Mattel says, Eureka O'Hara is a lip sync assassin. And I'm a nice person.
Sorry, Aidan just started devouring a lemon.
I just wanted to see how you reacted. Go on.
We know you're a Kate Nash fan, Aidan. You don't need to show us. I think the reason they told them it was competition was because, you know, they wanted them to put the effort in. They didn't want them to show up in just a Christmas jumper, did they?
So we've met the queens. Some are memorable, some aren't.
Some are the queen of the party.
Some are the queen of the party. Some are just there to have a bit of a laugh, you know?
Uh-huh.
Jasmine Masters showed up to All Stars and the holiday special with just one thing in mind. She was just here, just have fun, and I actually really respect it.
She was there for a good time and not a long time.
Exactly. But she doesn't need to be. However, her runway, Freddie. But before that, in true Drag Race fashion,
it was a musical episode!
It was a musical episode!
Which I loved, because I love all RuPaul's songs. And I love his Christmas album. Do you know, me and my brother we exchanged our favourite 5 Christmas songs ever. And in both of our lists was Get To You by RuPaul. It's like a Carly Rae Jepsen song. It's Lost in the Cold on Christmas Eve.
I actually would go out on a limb and say that RuPaul is underrated as a pop artist. Because everyone's like, oh, RuPaul has some great songs. In a very, like, because they're from Drag Race. Or they're not from Drag Race, obviously, but do you know what I mean? But actually, when you go through his discography, depending on how they're dressed at the time, I guess, really good shit.
Geronimo makes me want to punch someone in a good way.
I saw Aquaria, and I like Aquaria. Was it the best drag queen performance I've ever seen from a Ru girl? No. However, for some reason, she did this death drop, which made me so have this instant, like, fight or flight response, just in the way that she did it, that I choked on my Jaeger bomb and I had to walk away because I was just like, I can't breathe. And I think everyone around me thought I was just overwhelmed by Aquaria's performance.
Imagine if you, instead of flight, you decided to fight her.
And I just went up to her and popped her in the nose. It being a musical episode, actually I vibe with. I don't know what it was missing, but it was missing something. One thing it wasn't missing was the pit crew, quite clearly, because they timed it.
They were there more than ever before.
Yeah, they had a really big presence.
We were in the pit.
We were in the pit. I've been in the pit many a time. I mean, I'm just going to leave that vague. You can take what you want from that, and I'm sure you will. Yeah, so they really were there. They really were there. Why? It's their job. Why would they not be there?
Oh, pit crew, and nobody comes.
Can you imagine them being on strike? They just show up fully clothed,
but like dressed in loads of layers. I just love all the shots of the queens. I think Latrice references it at some point. Like, a lot of these queens are married, or they have boyfriends, or maybe they're just not that, like,
hungry for it. That's a weird thing with Drag Race. They always make the girls be really like, oh my god, the pit crew, I'm flustered, blah blah blah. As if these queens, generally, haven't spent years working in nightclubs surrounded by go-go boys. Like, if a group of men in their underwear walked into the Drag Race room while I was a queen on Drag Race, which will never happen, obviously, but hey. Not that I necessarily wanted to.
It's like which will never happen. Like you want me to be like, oh Aidan, it will. Like, just keep applying.
I also think they'd walk in and I'd be like, right, hi guys, I guess we're doing a mini challenge. As many challenges go, someone did win, which was strange, because why...
And who was it? And therefore, the winner of the episode, if you're looking for one? Mayhem Miller! How dare you say that? She is... Excuse me. Nobody walks like Mayhem Miller. She just... It's this strut.
One hoof after another.
Oh, leave her alone.
I'm not attacking her. Are you ridiculous?
Oh, are you talking about her costume? The crampness, or whatever it's called.
Yeah. She had hooves. No, I thought... She's my top 2 All-Stars of the week.
One moment, just before we kind of move on to the runways and stuff, that I cracked up at, because, and I don't think I was meant to, was when Sonique is showing the other queens that she's brought a picture of her and her mum along to put up in the workroom.
For one day of filming.
I was like, what? And it's like, gee, she's going to really miss her mum. Like,
And what's more? I mean, I was thinking the exact same thing, because not only is it weird, because obviously they've been asked to do this, right? They've been asked to bring pictures of their family and friends they do in a normal Drag Race season. But to top it all off, I don't even think they were, like, sequestered and, like, isolated from the world while filming this, because it wasn't compared, do you know what I mean? I don't think they, like, locked them in hotels and took their phones away, because it was just do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And...
It's 2 days of work. Sonique
lives in the same place where Drag Race is filmed. And I don't want to say it because, you know, I don't want to discredit these queens, but the, like, Well Presents YouTube channel, Drag Race, Celebrity Drag Race, well, like, the holiday special, anything where they need to get, like, pull some queens together fast, who do they always pull? The LA queens. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, right, is Morgan, Mayhem, Sonique, Chanel, are they available? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, imagine if Chanel had been in this. I love her. I am beautiful.
Severely underrated, and was not featured on Celebrity Drag Race, even though she was one of the makeup artists for it.
The other thing about this episode that I was like, I wonder how this was put together. So you know how in the workroom they're all talking, and then suddenly one of the absolute rude bangers that gets played starts, and they all start kind of nodding their heads from side to side, and it slowly transitions into this musical number from the conversation. I just wonder how they filmed that. Like, did the production team say, right, we're going to start transitioning into the musical number now, so if one of you, like whoever's having your conversation, can just finish it, and then everyone just start doing this with your heads. Like, I just was so confused because the transition was so weird, and it felt like genuine chat, genuine kind of banter between them whilst they were getting ready for the runway.
And that is what I mean about this weird middleman, that they've tried to do both and it didn't work.
But I think it did work.
You sit on a throne and it's constructed of lies.
I just think that in being that middleman, it managed to kind of pull off the stupidness of what?
Have you had coronavirus?
Do you think I have coronavirus?
Well, you have no taste.
Should we bring it to the runway? Runway. Runway. Bring it to the runway. Bring it to the runway. Runway. I thought overall this was a very good runway.
It was a good runway. -1, which is maybe one of the worst runways in Drag Race history.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, sorry, herstory, whatever.
Yeah, Holi-slay, herstory.
You'd think I'd never seen for sure.
And you mean to tell me they're men?
In wigs. Not all of them are men. Sometimes they're women. First up, to the chopping block.
Let's hope her thick neck is ready to be cut. Eureka, you found it.
That was sizest. Nice one, Freddie.
It was the Christmas Barbie, and my friend had that Barbie, and I remember that Barbie so distinctly because it is such a more grand look than is typical, and I can remember my friend had it in a box, never to be opened. It's probably worth hundreds now, in her bedroom. It was very, very accurate, very, very successful with the reference material. Marks out of 5?
4.
I also am going to give...
Kimchi, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love that she walks out as a Christmas present and that she looks at the other boxes on the stage and she's like, ooh,
multiple Christmas presents.
We're friends, we're family. But objectively, I think it's a 4. But for Kimchi standards, I'll give it a 3.
See, again, I do think Kimchi has had some of the best runways we've seen, and I think she can do better. She did well, but she can do better.
Exactly. If it was, and it's harsh because if it was any other queen, we would be like, this was really fun.
And it was funny. That's something I love about Kimchi, and every time she comes back, whether it's for this or the celeb drag race, I think is one of the funniest queens. She's one of the she's so not my humour as in the sense of humour I put across, but she's the sense of humour that I adore in others
really enjoy.
The most.
Yeah.
I think she's incredible, and I loved that she did do something funny because it was Christmas. And she didn't go high concept. It was a lot of fun, and it stayed with the season. But I have to say there were parts of it that looked quite a lot more homemade. And again, I guess that's part of the charm, but a lot more homemade than we're used to seeing from her. So I also am going to give it a 3.
A 3. It was very Katy Perry at the Met Gala.
Yeah, it was.
Which is fine.
For better or for worse. Okay, so next up, I am going to bring in someone who... So this Christmas special, in terms of the timeline of me watching Drag Race and getting to know queens again because they've been on All Stars or something, this was an interesting one because it really brought Mayhem Miller, of course, to my attention, as we've talked about the Queen of the Party. But I started to also come around from watching this, and have since, with watching her Netflix film Moving Parts, come around to Trixie Mattel. And I think that she had the most thorough episode of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think she was great in the challenge. I think she was hilarious in the workroom.
Hilarious in confessionals.
Yeah, and I thought her look was great as an angel, and
she looked snatched.
She looks great.
Do you not think
one of her best ever looks?
She just looked.
She looked really, and obviously, as the Boulet brothers would say, you know, drag is art and art is subjective. And I have not always been a huge fan of Trixie Mattel's art, just because I think the base of her face makeup limits her. And I think a lot of people love that she has such a thorough aesthetic. But for me, I think it puts her in a box, and that box isn't particularly my taste. And I think
box is a Barbie box.
Yeah. And as well as that, obviously, you know, drag isn't just about looking pretty. But I think what Trixie Mattel managed to do was look really very beautiful and pretty without compromising her brand and her face and her look. In my opinion, for the first time in everything I've seen her do, I absolutely loved it, and it was the beginning, I think, the sowing of the seeds of me kind of catching up to everybody else and beginning to understand why everyone loves Trixie Mattel, and I now understand.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't have much more to say on it. I'd give it a 4.
I'm going to go with a 3.5, just because
do you know what?
I think...
Put me on a 3.5 too, because I completely agree.
Just because I do think Eureka's, if Eureka's was a 4, I do think it had a bit more oomph and zhuzh than this.
And also, how iconic would it have been if Trixie Mattel, the Barbie queen, or one of the Barbie queens, came in that Christmas Barbie costume, and so did Eureka.
Would have been great. Would have been Madonna's kimono all over again.
Kimono, she better don't.
But I did love Trixie.
Next up to the runway, Shangela. May I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that if any queen is the festive queen, I will argue that it not as a winner, but it kind of through de facto, I want to say, is Shangela, purely because she's had to do a Christmas runway more than any other queen. That's not me saying that she's the best, but obviously we have this whole thing of where this is what didn't make sense to me, actually. This is what I'm going to say. You know Frostula that they talk about in the episode, which is in reference to the bloody questionable snowman she brought on stage in season 2 when she gets eliminated on the first episode. She had to redo that runway for All Stars 3 as her worst runway redemption, but she didn't redeem herself because that was also trash. And then she's come back a third time to do the same runway in effect. And again, I just ditched the concept, hon. Do you know what I mean? Just ditch. It clearly doesn't work. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work. Do you agree or do you not agree?
I do agree. I think that she did improve every time she tried to do it, but I agree, and I think it's a shame because on All Stars 3 some of her runways were so delightfully
so brilliant,
campy.
yeah.
And I would have loved something to do with a snow globe or something. I think that could have been cool.
She could have come out as Mariah Carey.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Somebody's getting fired. But yeah, I completely agree that it was a little disappointing. There were just little things about it that looked not homemade, but just a little bit rough. I also, again, I do not claim by any stretch to know jack shit about makeup, but something about her makeup looked strange to me.
I agree.
I can't figure out what it is.
And it might be because they didn't have much time to filming to change their makeup and things have to go quicker, but yeah, it was just a bit of an off runway for me. I'm going to give it and this is generous, I think, I'm going to give it a 2.
I am going to give it the same as I gave Kimchi. I'm going to give it a 3 because I do think they had the same quality of fun and embracing the cheesy homeliness of Christmas. But again, for better or for worse. So, okay, let's brave it. My name is Freddie Main and I have something to say. Jasmine Masters.
Okay, this look, I want to say, was like a statement that she was just like, I don't want to do this, I've been mugged off sort of thing, so I'm just going to wrap this wrap around my head. It's a 1. I don't need to talk about it anymore, it's a 1. I think even runways from like season 1 and 2 where, do you know what I mean? Not where standards were lower, but obviously fashion has evolved since then. Like, even some of the bad looks on there would stand up better than that does.
I definitely agree. And it's... Another weird thing about it is, like, this is not her coming on as some, you know, struggling drag queen who can only wrangle one gig every now and then, who doesn't have the money to do this stuff. This is after she's been on the show and gone on tour. Like, I'm very, very confused. I'm very confused by it. I have to say, like, the silk thing, not the silk, whatever you'd call it, like those, like, almost like drama teacher blankets that you, like, put out, like, for sensory play was almost like what that bow was like.
But it could have been fashion if she really pulled it back tight so her face was like... It could have been fashion,
but it wouldn't have been Christmas.
Well, yeah.
And so, like... And also, like, there was no element of makeup skill because we couldn't see her face. So, at risk of being a troll, I'm going to give it a 0. Jasmine Masters is a lot of fun, and this is not against her at all. It's just, you know, she brings something so great to it, and art is subjective. But I think we've seen so much better from her throughout, and I don't know, it's just a bit of a shame that it was such a cop-out when everyone else went for it.
Yeah, I completely agree. So next up, we have Latrice motherfucking Royale. Get your hands, keep your nuts.
Keep your chestnuts away from my face.
That's what I could remember what she changed it to. Get your chestnuts away from my face. However, her entrance look, quite enjoyed. But we're not talking about the entrance look.
She looked very fierce. She looked like Storm. And again, quite like a different look for her. Quite innovative and very cool. Yeah, I really liked it.
The runway, I have a large and in charge problem with Latrice Royale when it comes to the runway. If Bianca Del Rio can be criticised for always wearing the same dress, always just a form-fitting sequin dress. Granted, this one had a little bit of a cape moment to it.
Sequenced gown.
We take the shot. No, yeah, but I'm going to give it a 1. I love her, but I hated it.
I think that as a look and as a kind of glamorous, I guess, Christmas party look, I think it was quite successful at achieving that. I think she looked really beautiful, and I think it was a good look. But again, I do agree with you. I think that it was very much that. It was very much someone appearing at your house on Christmas Eve, and you say, "Oh my God, have you seen? You look amazing." But for a drag race runway, it was not festive enough, I don't think. So I'm going to be a little more generous. I'm going to give her a 1.5.
Oh, wow, you're so kind.
Just because I do think she looked very lovely and very glamorous, and I think it was a successful look in that respect. But I just love her so much, and I would have loved for her to
use her
push
entrance
herself.
look as the runway.
I mean, her entrance look was great. If we were rating entrance look, I'd maybe go 2.53 or something. I want to go see her, and I want to get hit in the face by a big flag. Not a euphemism.
Okay, and I think we're now getting to the two, but we really want to discuss. Who do you want to go for first?
Well, I'll go for my beloved. I'll go for the Queen of the Party herself.
La May. What an icon.
Excuse me, sir. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Your profile said you were 6'2". I thought this was conceptually the best look of the episode, and I think that if we're going back to entrance looks as well, I think her entrance look, even though it was very classic and simple, was quintessential skinny legend MC. All I want for Christmas is everything she's having Christmas, and I loved that. And I think she had the best entrance look and my favourite runway look too. And I thought it was a great concept. I love that when she first came around the corner, all you saw was her black hair and the Christmas jacket, and it was like that split second of, oh, it's just going to be a, glamorous, and then it was this monster. So cool, and such a brilliant approach to the brief without compromising the glamour of the Queen of the Party, but whilst also putting a really cool, interesting spin on the brief. I thought it was great.
It checked all boxes. It was creative. It met the brief. It strayed away from a familiar colour scheme that you'd expect. It surprised you, but you knew exactly what it was at the same time. And I just think it was so clever. And the details as well, like having the hooves for heels, like things such as that just pushed it over the edge. Like, it's a 5. It's obviously a 5. Mayhem did not just win this runway. The runway belonged to Mayhem.
Definitely.
It's one of the best. In some respects, it might be one of my favourite Drag Race runways, period.
So I am going to give it a 4. I loved it very much.
Well, you hyped it up a lot.
It was my favourite of the episode. And I really, really did enjoy it. But for me, it didn't quite make a 5 just because the actual body of the outfit was a bodysuit.
Yeah.
And so that is the reason. Not that compromised the outfit, but I think that to get a 5, it needs that a little bit more wow factor for me and a little bit more skill with the actual outfit itself. Okay. But I still loved it very, very much, and it was my favourite runway from her and from the episode. I thought it was great.
Yeah, she does love a bodysuit though. Like, she really does love a bodysuit. Which, hey, if you're the queen of a party, you need to be able to move. So, okay, so finally, Sonique. Now, I think this could really divide people in some respects. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to divide you and me. I think you're probably on the same page. Well, obviously you are. It was one of my favourite runways. It was very simple, but it was very clean. This gingerbread power suit. It was just so clever because it wasn't doing too much. It just did exactly what it needed to do. And I live for pants on my runway, to be honest. I love a queen in trousers. Like, I think it's so cool. I just think it's like there are so many more options when you bring that sort of thing in, and it was like, but it didn't feel corporate. It didn't feel like she was wearing a suit. I just had a great time. I think it's a lovely look. Could you argue that it was a bit off the rack? maybe. I mean, you wouldn't get it in a store, do you know what I mean? But, like, yeah, it's a bit simple, but...
I also really liked it. I liked the spin on conventional, and that, you know, it didn't foray into tackiness, which everyone else did. I mean, it's Christmas, that's what we were looking for. But
Hey, sis, it's Christmas.
Hey, sis, it's Christmas. Get Santa Claus and his missus. But, like, it was really... not only was it a different take on Christmas, as in it wasn't garish, but it was also a great take on Christmas in terms of, like, colour scheme and not just swamping yourself in glitter and tinsel. And I thought it was very sharp and clever and cool, and a great way for Sonique to reintroduce herself or introduce herself to the new fans.
And interestingly, I don't know if you noticed this in the critiques, but doesn't RuPaul say something like, but is brown Christmas?
But then Michelle's like, but it was gingerbread brown.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, like, that's the only critique in the entire episode. That's the only negative critique.
But that's stupid, because, like...
Come on.
It's clearly a front runner.
I really liked it.
I really liked it too. What would you give it out of 5?
Like, do you know what? If you asked me 10 minutes ago, I'd have said a 5, and I don't think that's true. But then, I don't know. Because now I'm thinking about Mayhem's bodysuit, and I'm thinking, you know? I want to move Mayhem down to a 4.5.
Okay.
And I'm going to stick Sonique at 4.5 too.
It was just missing that volume, that woo for me. But I still think it was incredible and a very cool twist on this theme.
Maybe if she, like, shook her hair and, like, icing sugar, like...
Oh!
Do you know what I mean?
That's the thing. That's the thing.
Or like it's constructed so that you can pull it off as if it's, like, being eaten.
Oh my god, and then she could have had a whole performative element of, like, no! Not the gumdrop buttons!
Yeah, I don't know. But I do think it was lovely. I think it was great.
It was great.
Good for her.
I have a question for you. I mean, you're clearly very depressed that you're never going to be on Drag Race UK. If you were on Drag Race Holi-slay special, what would be your concept?
So you're probably expecting me to go
like a great gift.
You're expecting me to go high fashion, I assume.
I mean, don't flatter yourself.
No, but do you know what I mean? Like, not that I could necessarily execute it myself, but no one else is laughing. I'd paint my face completely green, but I'd have these, like, huge, like, eyebrows that would have to stand out against the green, so these huge white furry eyebrows. Maybe even painted on these huge, like, shocked, fearful eyes. And I'd be a huge Christmas tree that had been, like, almost bondage tied up by tinsel, and rather than being a gag in my mouth, it's a bauble.
That's cool. That's fun. I mean, you didn't ask, but hey,
I expected.
Who asks a question to hear an answer, right?
Definitely not you.
Here's my concept. It's Mrs. Claus. She shuffles down the runway. All is cute. The reveal is, underneath, there's a Regina George style sexy Santa lady underneath. And I'd do, like, the moves from Mean Girls and everything. The lip sync between Rue and Michelle was comedy gold. Now that's comedy. To quote Chad Michaels, that's classic comedy.
See, I think it was... I wanted... So, you know they did this thing with the stunt doubles, obviously? Of them, like... Piss off. the thing with the stunt doubles, where they're like, oh my god, they're twerking, and, like, RuPaul did the, like, Aja, is she gonna jump from there sort of thing to end it. Which, like, was great, but I wanted it to be where the stunt doubles already weren't the best stunt doubles, because it was clear that Michelle's stunt double was wearing a wig, Whereas, like, RuPaul's didn't look as bad, because obviously she's wearing a wig, right? But I wanted, like, purposely bad shots of these two, like, hench blokes doing the stunt. Like, I really wanted it to be, like, oh my god, like purposely the worst matched stunt doubles possible, just sort of dressed up as them. Like, that's what I wanted. Because that would make me cry. But I think this was a little bit too, like, he, we're trying to trick you, but clearly we're not. But, like, ha ha ha. Like, to me, it didn't push it. It didn't punch through. It was funny, but it could have been better. Similar to the reviews of our podcast.
You know, I think the test with things like that, for me, is the easiest test in the world, is, did you laugh? And I know that gag is coming. I've watched the episode many times. I've probably seen it 4 or 5 times. And
that's a lot.
But I laughed again when I rewatched it. I still laughed. I still thought it was funny. And I think even if it could have been done in an even more obvious OTT clear way, I still found it very, very funny. And again, a fun Christmas treat is like, on Christmas, your nan gets up and dances. On the Christmas Drag Race, Michelle and Rue do a lip sync against each other, and it's all these ridiculous stunts, and it's stupid and silly and cartoonish and childish, and I think that's right on.
Oh, actually, I have one more thing to say. Do you know what my favourite part of
My name is Jasmine Masters, and I have one more thing to say.
Before we finish off, we've taken you on a little journey of a Drag Race Holi-slay spectacular.
Thanks for saying it, right?
Hey, you got there eventually. We've each got like a little moment that we think was iconic.
That was iconic.
Freddie, what was iconic for you in this episode? What stands out? What's your moment?
My standout moment in the episode was watching Mayhem Miller's hips as she walked down the runway during the mini challenge with the pit crew, and that large stride that she has. That was iconic.
That was. For me, what was particularly iconic was the fact that in the workroom, the queens were told they'd be performing a musical number to RuPaul's Christmas song, and RuPaul said, choreographed by Todrick Hall. But did we see any of Todrick Hall choreographing? No. And do you know what? To me, that was iconic.
Fla la la la.
That was the end of our little Christmas special. We hope you're having a wonderful festive time, no matter what time of year you're listening to this. If it's July and you're like, I feel particularly festive, you know?
What's your favourite form of pig to eat?
Aren't you a vegetarian?
Oh, hun, I'm a vegetarian until the 17th of December to the 25th of December. Then it's bloody animals become my diet. I am. But Christmas is Christmas, right? And Jesus was born so we could all eat animals, right? Why else were all those animals in the stable, manger, wherever he was? Miss you, Jesus. Imagine if Jesus came back on Christmas Day.
So thank you for listening to our podcast this week. We'll be back sometime in 2021. At least I'll be back.
Maybe Jesus will be with you.
Maybe Jesus will be with me.
He's always with us, Aidan.
Have a good one, guys. If you enjoyed the podcast, share it with some friends. Or some non-friends. Share it with whomsoever thou desirest.
And if you say the F word when you sing Fairy Tale of New York, Trini and Susanna will haunt you in your sleep. Merry Christmas.